Hi YouTube, and thanks for watching Junkworks Garage. I just got done changing all the different fluids in that thing. And depending on what you watched, I'm going to have all the rest on my Razor playlist in my channel. I'm getting ready to replace the oil in this thing. And I know there's usually a skid plate or a rock guard, whatever you want to call it, underneath here. Which I have since taken off to do some other stuff. That is in another video. And I figured with that off, this will be a lot less messy. Now, in your case, you're going to need probably a fairly long extension, and you're going to go up. There'll be a hole in the bottom plate right here that you'll go up through and find this. So once you get yourself onto there, then it's easy enough to pull it out, but it makes a huge mess. Now here's what I was saying. I'm doing the transfer case and the transmission as well, while I have all this off. And my theory on this is that probably once a year at least, you're probably going to want to take this plate off of here and clean out everything underneath, take a good look at your machine and kind of check things around. And while you're doing that, you know, you want to do these about once a year, depending on how you drive your rig anyway, or what you're driving it through. I'll probably be doing it about once a year. But anyways, this just makes life a lot easier while we have the skid plate off in the first place. I've seen people do these on videos, and it makes a huge mess trying to do it through the skid plate. And as you can see, the only thing on my floor is those few drops right there. That is it. That is all I got on my floor, and I changed every single fluid in this thing. I did the rear end, the front end, the transfer case, the transmission, and the oil. Every single thing, and that is it right there. That is the amount of fluid that wound up on my floor. This has been, I believe, stripped out. I have a T40. And that seems, once I get up in there, to be pretty good. But I can tell somebody's tried to use like an Allen key or something else on this. I just wish people didn't work on their cars unless they have to use the proper tools. If you're working on it, don't force something. Tools like this, you can go buy one fairly inexpensively, just use for this one project, and it'll pay for itself, because that's probably a $40 or $50 bolt. The one in the front was stripped out, so this probably is as well. See, it'll only go in one way. So we're going to try it and hope this isn't just cranked on here. Oh, which it was. All right. And it's, as you can see, it's been leaking. Somebody over tightened this. And there's should be, actually I think on this will be a copper ring, which probably either isn't there or I need to replace. Yet again, if you're doing this, that copper ring tends to fall into the bottom plate, and people don't realize it and then don't put it back. Now I'm going to try and catch a little bit of this in here, just to kind of look at it. And honestly, this doesn't look too bad, but also honestly, I had to put almost half a quart or maybe a little bit more oil in this thing. The first time we rode it, I went up a hill that I didn't mean to go up, but it was kind of the way we went. There was no way to back away from it or go back down. So I ended up going up this hill. When I went up it, the motor smoked a bunch and we had kind of problems. Ever since then, I put oil in since then and refilled it up, and we haven't had a problem since. So hopefully we didn't damage anything or have any problems. It does smell a little bit burnt, I would say, but I don't see any metal flakes or any problems with it. And there's supposed to be, I believe, 2 quarts in here, so it appears like there's probably at least that in here. Yet again, you got your copper washer right here, which I am going to go replace because this has been leaking, or they didn't do a good oil change. It kind of looks like it might be leaking maybe from the oil filter a little bit here. I don't know. but I'm gonna go find a copper gasket here. And you can get these just about any auto parts store. You don't have to go to Polaris for them. They're on a lot of tractors, which if you also look at these, a lot of the things you can use on these, including fluids, are similar to large lawnmowers or tractors. So there's the old one, there's the new one, and the inner diameter is the same. The outer diameter is actually a little bit small. I ended up going to Ace Hardware for this one because all the ones at like O'Reilly's when I went there were wider, and there's definitely only a certain amount of space in here. I might have been able to use one that was a little bigger, whoop, but not much. I'm not going to dig for that right now. So I found this one, like I said, at O'Reilly's. And I think once I put this on here and it crushes some, it will probably actually end up about the same size anyway. Although I'm going to try not to crush it near as much as the last guy. Yet again, I'm going to pay attention, and if there's any leaks, then I can always tighten it more. Now, this thing is stuck in here now because it is not proper. Which, there it is. See it, even just doing this, it's stripping. So I'm going to see if I can find one that's a size bigger, and maybe it'll jam up in there a little bit more. I don't know what kind of bits these are called, but they're just kind of that right there. That also is going in, but it feels kind of small. I don't know what this is supposed to be, but whatever works. I'm not going to go buy a new one. Okay, so I'm going to call that good. That actually worked. And that size was a 7/32. Therein lies the problem with not getting the right tool in the first place, is you wind up having to figure out something that'll work or replacing it for lots of money. And right now I've spent as much money on this machine as I want to spend. So there's that. The next thing we have to do is the oil filter, which I can get that up through here. But normally, yet again, if you had the plate here, it wouldn't work. And I will show you, if you have the skid plate on here, how to reach that. And here we are behind the tire here on the passenger side of the rig, or the right side of the rig, I should say. And right there's your oil filter. Now you can come in here with whatever type of wrench you can figure out. You could even jam a screwdriver in there to loosen it. Pull it out. Pull it, try and pull it up through here. I've seen people try and pull it up through here, but that just seems like a pain in the butt. I think it's going to be a pain in the butt no matter what I do. But instead, I'm going to do it from down below and come up this way and go down that way. But if you don't have your skid plate off, this is the way you need to go. And we got the oil pan here. And we're going to reach up, and right in here is that oil filter. Now I got this kind of an oil filter. I'm going to try that out. I have no idea if I can make that fit up in here or not, and I'm not even sure what size it is. I don't know if you can see it. I got the next size smaller one on there. So that's right there is the oil filter right in that area. I'm going to try to put a ratchet on that for now. Oop. I'm tightening, not loosening. Which that did not feel very, and it is turning. So that thing wasn't very tight on there. I think somebody got that up in there and gave up once they got it in there, because that thing was just barely hand tight, if even that. So now we're probably going to wind up with oil coming out. I'm going to go ahead and try and take this wrench back out here. and pull that my arm up through here and up through here, and just kind of guiding it off of here for now. That comes right out through there very easy, but as you can see, look at all that goop and stuff that's all over it. We don't want to be doing that on the way back up in. I'm actually going to hose down a rag with some brake clean and clean as much of this stuff off as I can. Got to be careful with these rubber hoses and things. You don't want to get too much brake clean on them. And here is the oil filter I'm going to be using. It is the Wix XP filter, extended performance full synthetic oils, or designed for full synthetic oils, 51356 XP. And according to their website, that should work for this Polaris. But we're about to open the box and find out together. And I like Wix stuff. Yet again, you need to be responsible for your own research. But height-wise, it looks pretty good. The type of hole size, well, it looks similar. Hopefully it's the same. We'll see when we get it on there. And I'm not going to touch it, but that right there appears to be the same as well. It's got definitely a thicker gasket in this area than the that one does. And I'm going to grab some of my new oil here. And yet again, this is where I say, if you do anything I do, you hurt your equipment, I'm not responsible. But I'm using the Valvoline UTV 4-stroke 10 weight 40 motor oil. This will work. These weights will, and it's not even weight, I don't know exactly what that is, but technically the W doesn't stand for weight. But anyways, it's the temperatures in which it can withstand. And in our cars we use this around here, and it gets downright cold around here and snowy, so I'm not too worried about having the zero weight. Next, I'm going to take some of that, I put it on my finger, and I'm putting around the filter here. That'll just help it go on a little easier and seal a little better. Yet again, make sure that your seal around here on the old one came off with it, which I already did. And I'm going to see if I can't put this down through here and just see how difficult it is. And of course, it quit filming right as I was doing that. So I don't know what's going on with this camera, but I got it down through here. I reached through here, this area right here, and I can turn it. And I was using my fingers here, and we just wiggled it on and got her on there. Now I am seeing there is some dirt and stuff in there, and I got a clean toothbrush that I'm going to go ahead and try and get in there with a little bit of brake cleaning. And just, well, I might just use what's on here because I don't really want a lot of brake clean on there. Alright. I'm going to go as far as I can by hand. And normally you want to just do this by hand, but I'm going to go ahead and go up underneath there and give this a little snug, really little snug, because I know that that didn't get put on tight enough last time, because there's just no way to really get your hand on there and really turn it and where it's tight. So yet again, I strongly recommend taking off your skid plate and just doing a lot of this from up underneath. Yet again, I'm going to go up underneath there, use, let's see, I should have checked that. The size that I ended up using was the 65 to 68 millimeter oil filter wrench that goes on the back there. So these are Harbor Freight cheapies. They've worked fine for several jobs. I'm going to try and get this back up underneath there. Something I will say is that I have the clutch cover off. So if the clutch cover was on here, that would totally be in your way now that I look at it. So just be aware of that too. If you want to do stuff underneath here, you'd have to take that off as well. But yet again, just to get the job done easier and right, I think that's full on worth it. That wasn't all that difficult to do. All right. This thing is not holding on to the oil filter very well, and this is the smallest one I have, but it did turn a little bit. There we go. Alright, I'm going to call that. It's really hard to tell where you want to be at. Oh, now that's stuck on there. Maybe I'll just leave it and be there for next time. Alright, got her out. That is not something I normally would recommend doing, but for this I would be willing to bet that that is what was causing that big messy leak, because there's nothing above that, and it was all down here coming down from there. So, and as you can see, this just kind of goes this way and gets filthy. But hopefully we have that on there tight enough that we won't have to worry about that anymore. And we won't have any more rust protection going on down here, unfortunately. And I went and grabbed one of these the first time I needed to put some oil in this thing. I got this one from Napa, but I know they have them at Walmart. They just didn't have any the day I actually went to get it. And they're kind of nice. I keep it in that bag. I don't know where the bag came from. It was some packaging out of something. But it does have a cap on it here, so hopefully you don't make quite as big a mess. But there's where your oil is, your dipstick. You actually fill it in the same place as you check it. Oh, and then like I said, hopefully you don't make a mess, but your last bit of stuff from the last runs ends up running out of it. Actually, that's going to work all right there. So I got that up on there. Actually, this bungee cord was here holding this, and that'll actually work really well. And I keep this bungee cord in there, so it might be the way to do it. And then you can kind of make it a one-handed deal. And according to the book, this takes 2 quarts. So we're going to go ahead and throw 2 quarts in and hope it's enough or not too much. I'm just going to let that drain into there for a while and clean itself out. Yet again, it's got the cap on it, and I got a bag that I can wrap around it and stick in the trunk area there. So I just keep that with me with a couple quarts of oil in there, so that if anything happens, hopefully I can at least keep enough oil in it to get it back to where I need to fix it. There's all the fluids in this rig, so hopefully you enjoyed that. Yet again, separating these videos. So depending on whatever fluid you just watched, I got every other one on my playlist in my Razor playlist. So go check that out on my channel. Now get out there and get your junk working. Thanks for watching Junkworks Garage, where I'm proud to say I'm a jack of all and master of none. You all have a good one.